Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Cryptonairz Interview. Today, again, we are talking with Prometheus, the man, the myth, the legend, and founder of HectorDAO. I think we have a lot to talk about. Obviously, you just had your AMA, and it was one of the most bullish things I've ever heard. I just want to put that out right there at the beginning.
I appreciate that, man.
Absolutely. I also want to make sure that I acknowledge that, you don't have to come and speak with us. You don't have to come and talk to me. You chose to speak with me, and I appreciate that. And I think it's really cool that, we continue our relationship since it started off, and it was such a good relationship. And as we continue forward, you're getting to the point as a project, and as an individual running a project where you're outrunning our ability to keep up, and it's great, to kind of give back and work with the people that you started with, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, when we were starting out, sorry, I'm just searching for the stream now. So when we were starting out, we reached out to a lot of people, and we saw some really good interest in working with us. And right, I'm just going to mute that side of it. Yeah, so we reached out, and we started working with a lot of people. And when I came into the Cryptonairz Discord, when we tried to sneak me in, and it didn't go to plan, I got noticed pretty quick, but I just was really struck by how positive the whole place was. It was just a really chill place to be. There was a lot of love, there was a lot of good questions, and anyone who's in the Cryptonairz family on Discord, you'll know that Bond Slurper is always talking about bonds, and
Right.
that was always fun to be around. So yeah, I will always have time for the Cryptonairz family. I genuinely just really like hanging out with you guys. It's always a good time. So thanks for that. Really, I should be thanking you guys.
No, absolutely. I mean, once you formulate a really, honest and good relationship with somebody where it's mutually beneficial and everybody is having a good time, it's not like we're working at all, right? And I'm assuming that's part of the reason why you made your announcement, because doing this stuff and working with these people and making those announcements and stuff like that, it's almost like it's not work. It just comes so natural.
I think you guys probably have the same saying across the pond, but in the UK, we have a saying that if you find a job that you love, you never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
And I think it's close to the truth in my experience. There are parts of this project that are stressful, because it's big, right? It's hundreds of millions of dollars, and there's a lot of pressure sometimes. We have to get things done very quickly to a high standards, and the real thing I appreciate is that I like this job so much that those things don't matter too much. The stress is fine. It's like you know where you're going in a more broad sense, and it allows you to deal with the stress. And for those of you in the audience who may be project developers, you'll know what I'm talking about. But you get really attached to the project, and it becomes so second nature to just get on with the work and enjoy it. And to be in a public facing role with this project, I just really like it. It's my dream job, as I said in the AMA I just finished in the Hector community. So yeah, it's good vibes. It's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it comes through, and you can see how passionate you are about this and all that kind of stuff. And again, huge props for your AMA, and cheers to that. So I don't know if you have a drink or not, but I do. I've got a nice little beer here. It's a bourbon barrel beer, and I'm going to go ahead and cheers you from across the pond, sir. Congratulations on your AMA and everything that you've done thus far.
Yeah, I'll raise my glass of whiskey. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, I guess one fact about me, I like whiskey because I have taste buds.
Exactly.
I mean, how can you not, right?
How can you not like whiskey?
Yeah, no, I mean, I figured it's a casual hangout, right? Might as well crack out the whiskey and pour one out for the community,
Absolutely. Now, I do want to talk about your project a little bit, but I figured we can kind of talk about some other stuff too. During your AMA, you talked about how you celebrate Thanksgiving, and if you don't mind me asking, well, that first of all, that's awesome. And if you don't mind sharing, this year when you were celebrating with your friends and family, what was something that you thought about? What was something that, iconically we say, what are you thankful for, right? This year, when you thought about that, what was something that came to mind?
The first one that I think jumps to a lot of people's minds is family and friends. I think over the last 2 years we've had, I mean, I'll put it this way: it would be nice to have some precedented times for a change. Um, and when you're in the position that our countries have been in, we had lockdowns and the death rates were the high, and
Yep.
it's just not a fun time. When you come out the other side of that, we're obviously not through the situation yet, but things are a bit brighter in their outlook now, particularly in the UK. I don't live in the USA, so I don't know, but you suddenly realize how much you did lean on family and friends. And I think one thing I'm really thankful for is that I have just a fantastic support network, really. Yeah, that would be the main one. I mean, the project itself obviously is great, but like the family and friends are in my personal life. I love all of them. So yeah. How about you? What was your thing to be thankful for?
Same thing. I think that, family and friends, it has to be your number one because that's how we are as human beings. We're social creatures, and you should be, a healthy relationship with your family and friends and yourself, having a good, healthy psychology and things of that nature. And I hope everybody is able to balance that in their life. But so I'm newer to crypto. I've only been in crypto for a year, so this is all newer to me, and I picked up pretty quick, and I've learned a lot. I dived into it hard, and I found that even in this space, I was thankful for a lot of things, and I think that some people might miss that, and I think it's important that people think about it. Look around. If you're in the Hector DAO Discord, look around. You're probably making friends and you don't even know it. People that you're communicating with on a daily basis, people that you're, mods, shout out to all the mods in the HectorDAO channel. They're killing it every day. You're making relationships with these people. Don't let those squander. Don't let those go away. Maybe even reach out to some of these people and say, hey man, we should share ideas more often, and
Yeah,
get to know each other a little bit more. It's all right in front of you.
it really is. Like it's so easy to become adjusted to and to accept something as normal to the point that you just don't see it. Like the team that we have and the mods that we have. I mean, the mods, man, they're so good. They're so good. Um, I've had some very very personal conversations with a few of them, but for the most part, I find that they're so dedicated. They don't just moderate the community. Some of them go out and research and find things that they think we should look into as project developers. And I have a moderator. Um, I'll leave him unnamed for now because I don't know if he's okay with me naming him. But he sent me so many links over the last few weeks of like, hey, look at what these guys are doing on this chain, and do you think you guys could research it? Maybe it could help the project. And teamwork makes the dream work. As I always say, I'm just a guy. I'm just Prometheus. I do a lot of work behind the scenes. Obviously, I don't just sit here and and speak to people on YouTube and drink whiskey. That would be the dream.
Yeah, that's part of it though.
Yeah, I mean that's the benefit. That's why I'm really here. But yeah, it's you realize how many people it takes to run a project, and like I have no doubt that you will have seen that in Cryptonairz, right? It's a big thing. It's a big machine, and everybody has a part to play. But when everyone does it right, you create something that is larger than the sum of its parts, and that's the special. That's the magic that you really want to hold on to. You find a team and a community that helps you do that, and you work with them and you hold on to that as tight as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I've talked about this on different podcasts and interviews, and I think a lot of what people need to do is because people get into the crypto space and they're overwhelmed. And I think what you can do, one of the best things that you can do, is find a group of people that are like-minded, that have positive energy, and feed off of each other, give each other information. Don't get mad at each other and don't tribalize agreements or arguments. You can like Hector DAO and you can like XRP in the same sentence. You can like Bitcoin and Ethereum in the same sentence. You can have a conversation and intelligently, put out your point of view without having an argument. And I think that's what makes this a strong space, is that you can have those conversations and make like-minded decisions with people. And that's what's going to make you more powerful as an investor. So if
Yeah,
that's something that you haven't found yet, join these different discords, join Cryptonairz, join HectorDAO, find what makes you whole, find what helps you out with your research, and reach out, because there's people out there that want to talk to you that you just don't know them yet. You haven't met them yet.
yeah, that's exactly it. There's so many intelligent, gifted, kind people in just all around you, that we have a saying. I think you guys have it too. I think it came from America, but a lot of success is about who you know as well as what you know.
Yes.
You know, if you can have a group of people where, you know, if you're not an expert on one topic, but if you can find somebody who you trust who is, then for all intents and purposes, you are an expert, you know, and it's about finding that right mixture of people that allows you to really function in a way that you can get things done without needing to worry about the intricacies and details. And yeah, I think the setup we have now is really working that way. And I hope it continues to do so, obviously.
Absolutely. And another saying that we have here, and this kind of goes back to building relationships online and having those communications with other people, is it's not just about what you say, it's how you say it. And that kind of stuff comes through the screen when you're typing. You know, and sometimes you just need to think about how am I going to present this so that it's neutral, right? I mean, some
Yeah.
people want to make a point and that point comes over the wrong way and then they make enemies quickly in the Discord or whatever. Just think before you type sometimes. Maybe it just takes an extra 10 seconds to decide how you get your point across. And I don't think a lot of people have malicious intent in these Discords. I think that
Nah,
you
yeah.
just need to be very careful about how you present it, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, text doesn't carry nuance. You
Right.
know, the tones in my voice, they can be heard by you. There's so much more information coming from sound than there is from text on a page. But it's, yeah, I really think, you know, you mentioned XRP. You could be a fan of XRP. Like, even if we do the classic rival, you can love XRP and you can love Stellar. I like both of them personally.
Yep.
I think when you get into this entrenched view of kind of extremism on one side, that's when you start making mistakes. And you know, I think a truly wise investor or a diligent person in general can entertain an idea without necessarily accepting it to be true. But if you don't open your mind up to those ideas, you're never going to find solutions. You just can't. You know, you may not like the answers, but the answers are the answers. But a lot of the time, you know, investors are intelligent, smarter now than they were back in the day. You know, when Satoshi mined the first block, and you know, crypto is a growing space. The information sector in crypto is growing really fast as well. It's so good to see so many educational channels like yours, for example. I've seen that you guys even do guides on taxation and stuff. It's so good to see that space grow in that way. It's really positive.
Yeah, we like to hit on topics that a lot of people don't want to talk about. You know, and not this isn't to promote just Cryptonairz, but just in general, you need to find information out there that helps you with your journey. For example, security. If you aren't using hard wallets and you're using MetaMask, you should consider that. We do training on that. We have classes on it. We have links and everything to help you with that. Same thing when it comes to taxation. Um, when it comes to making your portfolios broader and investing into multiple projects, we're trying to give you an all-around, you know, holistic approach to investing in crypto, not
Yeah.
just, hey guys, let's all go buy Dogecoin, right? There's nothing wrong with Dogecoin, but maybe you should consider some other things, right? So that's just kind of how we approach it. It's a whole approach, not just one approach. But one of the things you were just talking about that I don't want to let go is like the community engagement portion of this. And I think that we get hyper tribalized, right? Like I'm a HectorDAO, I'm a Hectarian, I'm a Melonhead, and that's it. And I'm gonna go out and attack other groups. And I'm not saying anybody does that because I'm very impressed with the HectorDAO community. And I think that we as professionals, right? Because we are in a professional space, and if we want to get that professional recognition from everywhere else, just like you know, with people using stock markets and stuff, we have to act like professionals, right?
Yeah.
So we don't need to attack other groups, and I hope you know that never happens. I'm sure it does once in a while, but the professionalism that we have going forward from the people that are supporting Hector DAO is uncanny, and there's no reason to attack anybody. There's no reason to have arguments. There's no reason to shit on other projects. You talked about that in your AMA. You know, if they asked you about how do you feel about Spartacus, there's a professional way to answer that without saying that there's a negative connotation with each other.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah, I think it's the tribalism thing. I'm just not like that. And I think a lot of people aren't by default like that. But you know, when you get a mob mentality and people do the strangest things that they otherwise wouldn't do because they're in a crowd and there's this diminished responsibility. But I'm proud that the Hector community in general, you know, there's always going to be a minority in any group who does things that you don't want to see from the group. But in general, it's there's just no reason to go and flood other people's projects. I don't support it. I don't endorse it. I just, as I said in the AMA, it's immature. It's unnecessary. It's unprofessional. It's immoral. I just don't get it. I don't sit on that platform. Some people want to do it. Some people want the tribalism. Some people want they want to feel like they're going to war. And if you're one of those people, don't bring that to Hector. You're welcome in the Hector community, but don't do that, because that's not who we are. We focus on Hector. And look, we obviously monitor what other projects are doing, because it would be irresponsible of us not to. But I think the real strong point would be to focus on, if you're a Hectorian, focus on what Hector is doing and focus on how you can help us improve the system. If you're going to make it about teams, then we need you supporting our team rather than attacking the other team.
Absolutely.
But I don't see any beef or anything like that with Spartacus or Exodio or indeed any other project on the Phantom Network. I don't feel that way about them. Every project has some really cool offerings, and it's nice to see the space being competitive, because everybody wins then. So it's not them versus us. We're in the same space and there's room for competition, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that comes from leadership, right? And you're steering the ship, and that type of message to the people that are invested in your project, I think that's a very strong message, and I think it's a very professional message. And I think more projects in the space need to take that type of mentality of a little bit of professionalism here. Yeah, we're here to have fun, but you can have fun and still have a professional mentality and not attack other groups or
Yeah.
other ideas, because that's how you stunt growth, right? That's how you limit innovation.
Yeah, there's a saying I really like that fits into this nicely. If you have an argument with somebody and you choose to take it and turn it into a bigger thing than it is, nobody sees right and wrong. They just see two idiots fighting with each other. It's just so unnecessary, It's look, obviously, I want Hector to do well and to defeat, or not even defeat, just outcompete the competition. And I am very well aware that there are people who run other projects or who are fans of other projects that compete with us who want the opposite to happen. Both of those things are fine. You can have your opinion; they're both fine. This is why I put so much emphasis on trust the team. If you're a short-term trader, fine, the price is something you'll focus on. I mean, it's something we all look at, right? I'm not going to pretend that I don't look at the price. I do. But if you think that the project has a utility that people will like and will be adopted over time, if you think that the team can deliver on the promises we're making, which, by the way, we have every single time, and if you think that we can innovate in a way that we can keep creating these new products and services, then there's nothing to worry about. You shouldn't feel the need to attack other projects or to worry about price. And look, it's easy to say it, right? To not worry about price. It's very easy to say it. But if you are truly a long-term investor and you truly trust the projects, I think there's a few people in the community who do have that mindset, and I've spoken to them, one-to-one, and it's nice to see investors who do think that way.
Yeah, and I think that when communities come together, or when an entire community has that mentality or that mindset, it kind of just brings everything forward naturally instead of constantly regressing to arguments. And I'm kind of sick of that. That's part of the reason why I'm part of a community that doesn't allow that, because it's not productive. You can have a point of view and have statements and do what you want without causing arguments or being disrespectful to other people. And when you get home from work all day and you've done what you've done, and you're taking a break from, taking care of the family or whatever it is, yard work, and you want to read or do some research on crypto, you shouldn't have to deal with other people arguing. That's just not professional.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I think that that's a good thing for people in the space to start doing. And your project as a whole is doing something like that. And, that kind of brings me to another point. Like, so when I do interviews and I talk about projects, I typically do my best to try to stay a little bit neutral, right? Because I have a
Yeah.
responsibility. So people are, looking towards us, the research team. We have 24 plus people that do research, and they look to us to bring them information, to do research for them, and then get them the information. We don't tell them what to do. We give them the research all in one spot so they can make informed decisions. But if
Yeah.
I start saying I like HectorDAO, now I'm putting a little bit more responsibility on that because I'm giving my personal opinion, and that's hard for me not to do. But I will say that today, when I talk to you about a few things, I'm going to have to sidestep that a little bit and give my personal opinion, if you don't mind.
Yeah, and you know what, this might seem like a hollow statement because I'm fairly sure I know how your personal opinion sits with Hector, but for the record, even if you're a doubter or it's negative, that's also fine. You know, I don't
Absolutely.
avoid questions like that. Those are the questions that help us grow and thrive. But yeah, one of the things I've noticed as, look, I'm not famous. I'm not. And I'd never be the type of person to be like, oh, I'm famous. I'm just not. It's not something I really care about that much, to be honest. But, as my social channels and influence have grown, and I'm still small, still very, very small on the platform, but you do get this impending sense of like, you've got to watch everything you say. Not
Right.
because you may say something stupid, but because it may be interpreted the wrong way. Like so we had a question about tax, right, in the AMA. Or sorry, we made an announcement about wrapping staked Hector for tax purposes. I have to be so vague about what exactly that means because I
Right.
just can't avoid stepping into the territory of talking about financial advice because it's just not a good idea to do that ever. So yeah, I fully appreciate that one. But yeah, if you'd like to have personal feelings, then and you'd like to display those, that's also fine with me. I mean, I'm a phantom maximalist. There's no question about that.
I
So
can tell that. Absolutely. So some of the things you talked about in your AMA, some of your short-term priorities, building the treasury, marketing. I will say your marketing is out of control. It's great. And I'll get into that in a few minutes. And then on top of that, and I think the big one that we need to talk about is Hector Bank.
yeah,
You've talked about Hector Bank, and I know that it's coming. I know there's a lot that you can't say and that it's building up. But could you give us an example for the community? Like if you're an end user, right? Could you
yeah,
give us an example on how you could potentially use the lending platform as a user?
sure, yeah, okay. Let's let's set the scene right. So Phantom is ready for its Solana moment, as I keep saying. I can't tell you exactly when it's going to happen. I just think it will because Phantom's a really good chain. So as that happens, you're going to have different types of investors joining. So it's not just going to be buy, low, sell, high types of investors. You're going to have people who want to aggregate across systems, who want to arbitrage, who want to lend and borrow is one of the things we're targeting. So let's say you're someone who wants to lend out. Now, the advantages of lending out are that you get a good return and it's quite low risk. It's almost zero risk. Obviously, nothing in life is zero risk, but it's close. So let's say you have substantial capital. Let's say you have several thousand stable coins that you'd like to loan out. So you put them up for loan in Hector Bank, and people can collateralize assets against that loan. So there'll be like a ratio, for example. And if it's like a 25% ratio, it means they put up 25% of the total amount that they can borrow. And that means that they can borrow more funds than they have access to currently, and they can do whatever it is they want to do with those funds. And then they pay back a premium to pay back the favor of being able to leverage loans. And so the advantage to the loaner, sorry, the person giving out the loan, is that they make a nice return, and it's quite a stable return. If we want to talk about moral advantages as well, they help the Phantom chain grow, which it's no secret that that's something I like talking about. And for the person borrowing, the advantage is that they can collateralize their assets and borrow. Essentially, they can leverage trade in DeFi. And you can make quite a lot of money doing that if you're diligent and if you're knowledgeable and if you're lucky, I guess. So, it helps us establish this broader financial center of activity that more closely mimics what happens in the real world. The reason banks do this in the real world is because it works. It's beneficial for the most part. And so, we want to bring that to DeFi and help DeFi expand on Phantom because the transaction fees are basically zero. The settlement time is basically zero. So it just seems like the space is ready to take off.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's a really good idea, and I think what you guys are going to be doing is going to be really innovative, and it's going to be utilized a lot by the community. And your time frame is super aggressive and bullish. You said in your AMA that you're looking at a 14-day, or approximately a 2-week time frame for Hector Bank to launch. That's pretty aggressive.
Yeah, aggressive is probably the right word. Yeah, our developers are just so good at what they do. A lot of what they do to me is just magic. They just work so fast, and it's really nice to jump into the chat and just ask for updates, and there's just huge amounts of updates to read through. So yeah, I mean, look, the 14-day thing, I can't guarantee to you it's going to be exactly 14 days. That is the estimated time frame right now. Maybe it's faster, maybe it's slower. You can't really put an accurate time frame on some of these things, but yeah, 14 days is roughly what we're looking at this point. I'm hoping that we can get it out faster. Can you imagine if we just, here's a massive bull flag, we've done it faster than we thought we would, and it still works perfectly. I mean,
I wouldn't doubt it. That's the thing about your team. I wouldn't doubt you doing that. If you did it, I'd be surprised in the sense of, wow, they beat their own time frame, but I wouldn't be surprised because of what I've seen your team do.
Well, who knows? It's possible. I think I believe the team can do it. I'm not going to sit here and say, guys, I accidentally promised to the Cryptonairz that we were going to do 10 days, so I need to work faster. It's not going to be like that, but if they could do it, that would be amazing. If not, 14 days is still really fast. 21 days is really, really fast. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I'll ask you an in-depth question. This is going to be a deep one.
Right.
You talk about that you love Phantom Chain. I think a lot of people do. I've been using it. My introduction to Phantom Chain was Heck. So since
cool.
I've been there, I've been looking around a lot. And I think you're going to find that most people, hey, if you guys are in the comment section, if HectorDAO was your first thing you purchased on Phantom, throw up Phantom Chain or throw up some comments so we know that, because I think Hector is bringing more people to Phantom than almost any other project. I mean, it's crazy the amount of people that are looking at Phantom because of your project. And the reason why I bring that up is because we know that you're bullish on Phantom, but there's been some issues that we've been seeing. One of the issues that we're seeing is that exchanges don't have liquidity for Phantom. They're ran out, and they're not putting more in. For example, KuCoin, and there's other places, and not to negatively speak about any other projects. My question is, have you noticed that? And do you think that there might be something more behind that? And not to be conspiratorial, but why are people being limited from getting liquidity of Phantom?
Oof, I'm gonna have to take another drink of whiskey for this one.
Yeah, I know it was a little multi-pointed, but the real question is.
That's a great question.
Yeah, I mean, I think you understand what I'm asking you.
Yeah, I see the subtext. So, also everyone who's saying that Phantom, that you joined Phantom for Heck, that's so cool. I can't tell you how amazing that is. One of our stated aims is to help Phantom grow, and that's the measure of success for us. So, welcome to the Phantom chain. Welcome to Hector. So, and I mean, also in the comments right now, Hector and Spartacus brought that person to Phantom. So, everybody wins. This is why I don't have anything negative to say about other projects. But to get back to the question, so I think there's a few ways you can look at this. We've definitely noticed that there have been issues onboarding people to Phantom. It's one of the reasons we set up the Phantom Faucet, and we're donating thousands of dollars a week to people to help them join. Let's go for an analytical one, and then we can do the conspiracy one. So,
okay.
The analytical part of me wants to say that, Binance is one of the major places that have been having problems with Phantom in terms of they ran out of liquidity. They just don't have the money to give to people because it's not in the, they're rich, obviously, but it's not in the right places to give it to them. It's just the demand is high. Maybe the reason for that is that huge amounts of people are starting to join the Phantom chain, and the spike in demand is just more than they could anticipate. I think that is entirely part of it. It's a bit strange that basically every exchange in the world at one point over the last couple of weeks has had issues with providing liquidity to let people withdraw native Phantom tokens. And by the way, more and more exchanges every day are adding native Phantom withdrawals to they're onboarding the Phantom chain. So I think I think it's a good idea. Sorry, a good suggestion that demand is high, which, if you've heard me talk about the Solana moment, that's one of the signals for it. If the demand is high and the liquidity just keeps getting drained for helping people get to Phantom, that would presuppose that many, many, many people are trying to join Phantom. And
That's what it
so
looks like.
that's certainly how it feels. That's what the data says to me, at least. But maybe there's some conspiracies, though.
Right. You have exactly what you just said, right? But people that aren't as so here's one of the things that could potentially impact Heck, right? So Heck is gaining a lot of momentum and power, and they're getting bigger and they're getting tons of end users. But there's also a whole nother world of beginners that might learn about Heck, and then when they see the
Yeah,
process, they're overwhelmed. So the
yeah,
first thing they're going to try to do is get it from an exchange, right? That'd be
yeah,
the easiest way to get Phantom and then get to Heck.
yeah,
And if those exchanges don't have the tokens or the liquidity for it, now what do, right?
yeah. It's a real conundrum, right? Because on the one hand, we have the whole, you list on a centralized exchange. It gives you more validity, more legitimacy, more volume often. But then you're kind of dividing volume in a place where, look, if you buy Heck on SpookySwap, I know you're on a Phantom chain. Like, you can do everything that you want to do with the Hector protocol if you're on the Phantom chain. So I know you're there, and that's great. But if you get it on Hotbit, for example, where we're listed, you're on Hotbit. There's certain interactions you can't have with Hector. Now, I think there's positives and negatives, and we obviously weighed them up between, if we list, do we divide volume? I don't think we do, because Phantom is still an expansionary period, right? So we're essentially exposing ourselves to about 1 million more people if we join Hotbit, because there's 1 million people trading actively on Hotbit annually. So, sorry, there's 1 million active accounts, is what I mean to say. So, I think it's a problem that solves itself over time. I imagine the Phantom Foundation people, the teams over there are always having these conversations with exchanges saying, look, we need you to help us here. Whether that is something they can even do, but I imagine they're doing everything they can to help the onboarding process. But as I said, I think it solves itself over time. If Binance, for example, sees, loads of people want to join Phantom, they want to withdraw natively to Phantom. Binance makes us a little bit of profit every time you do a withdrawal. They have their own fees. I think it's in their interest to do that as well if they want short-term funds. The conspiracy theorists may say that Binance may want to hinder that process because they have Smart Chain to consider. They want to keep the attention on Smart Chain. I don't think it's that, to be honest. Binance is kind of in the regulatory bullseye right now. I don't think that Binance behaves in that way. I would like to think not anyway. I do consider Binance a very professional company because, look at them, they're huge. So they're clearly doing something right. But it's, yeah, it's a conundrum. But as I said, I think it's one that solves itself. We have our Phantom Faucet program where we're donating a few $1,000s a week at least. And that number is increasing really quick, by the way. So that's a good sign. But yeah, I think it's just time. I feel like a lot of chains had this issue. Look at CRO, for example.
Yeah, good example.
There's liquidity shortages left, right, and center for that right now because it's in high demand. So, I think everyone would say that they're pretty bullish on Crow. So,
no, I agree. And somebody in the comment section wrote, what we're talking about right now is the dilemma. They have Phantom on Gemini and they can't figure out how to get it over to Heck. And we could give you that answer, but this is a good opportunity to put yourself in a community, get on Discord,
yeah,
and join the Discord for the Heck community and ask. If you type in there, this is my problem, can somebody help me? I guarantee you that somebody will answer you and help you out. If
yeah,
somebody in the comments can post the link to get into the Discord, please do that for Rita and anybody else that's interested and that wants to become part of a community that's professional and like-minded and that aren't going to, just yell at you and tell you what to do. Get in there and ask questions. And then if you have questions beyond Heck and you're talking about a slew of other projects, then consider, potentially looking at the Cryptonairz. So, these are tools at your disposal that you could use throughout your investing career and looking into cryptocurrency. And that's why we're here is we're all trying to help each other out. So yeah, we were just talking about the liquidity issues and all of that. And I'm going to pivot to something I want to give you some credit. So you and your team came up with this idea of we want to do an audit, and we want the community to choose whether or not we're going to do the audit and who's going to pay for the audit. To me, that's a really good idea. It was well done, and I'll let you discuss the outcome of that, and I'll pull it up on here if I can in the background while you're talking. But I wanted
Yeah.
you to know that that was a great idea.
Yeah. And if you bring up the snapshot page, it will help illustrative purposes because that was a landslide vote. I mean, we knew it was going to go that way, obviously, but there was a landslide vote. So, the way we did it was, well, we call ourselves HectorDAO, right? And for those of you who don't know, a DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization, and generally they devolve power to the community to allow them to make decisions. So we do that with something called snapshot voting. And if you hold staked Hector, you can come and vote on proposals to improve or change parameters on the protocol, and then you can have your say in how the project runs. So we saw growing requests and concerns about audits from the community. Now we're an Ohm fork, so by default, a lot of our code is already audited because it was audited when Ohm did it. But we've changed so much now that it's kind of hard to say that we're covered by that audit. We're pushing the line a little bit there, but we decided, well, let's take it to governance. Then we know how people are going to vote at this point. Everyone wants an audit, but let's make this a democratic exercise as well and give people a choice on how we perform this. So, we gave a bit of background. There were, Anubis rugs, Raindow rugs. Snowdog had some. They had some controversy, we'll say, recently, and there's been a slew of other rugs, and so we just proposed it to the community and said, look, audits are expensive. They are. And so we essentially said, we think it would be a good idea to sell some DAO funds, which are some of the profits we get from bond sales and various other things, but mostly bond sales. So we said, let's sell some DAO funds and we can pay for an audit, and then we can put this to a vote, and we can get a CertiK audit or I think the other one was Peck Shield. And so the community had their say, and there you see it on the screen. 99.77% of people said yes. So
That's a powerful statement.
It is, yeah. It was pretty resounding. It was the same. If you look at the previous proposal as well, we had a similar result. I believe that was four bonds or something. Yeah, it was next bonds. Yeah, it was USDT versus MIM.
And MIM won by a little bit. They just squeezed ahead.
Yeah, only just. There were some swing votes that really helped out there, I think. But yeah, it's something that we intend to continue doing more and more of. It's a DAO, so eventually our aim is to devolve more and more power to the community. And these were exercises in the democratic process where we just wanted to put it to the community and give them a direct say on how we performed the audit. And in this case, on the next bonds one, it was how which bond we would add, USD Tether or MIM. And obviously MIM won, so we now have a 4-4 and a 1-1 MIM bond.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll bring this back up in a few minutes, but that's one of the things that I think that makes you guys different and powerful. It's just another example that I'm going to continue to build upon through this conversation. One of the things that you mentioned also in your AMA, and I took note of it because I wanted to ask you, when you do an AMA and you answer questions and put out pointed moments, you don't get to grasp exactly what you're trying to say as a speaker because you're kind of like speaking to an audience that can't talk back, right?
Yeah.
But I think that it's important to circle back to this answer or this statement that you made, and I'll just ask it as a question so it's easier. How important is it to you to personally help people with building wealth? And are you proud of what you're building?
It's very important. I said it in the first AMA. I think I also said it in the first discussion that we had as well. That I truly believe that cryptocurrency is the single best opportunity anybody alive is ever going to have to build generational wealth. I really believe that. Now, I hope I'm wrong. I hope there's plenty of opportunity in the future. But right now, crypto is the opportunity, as far as I can tell. And I've had messages from community members where they have said, I bought my fiance a new phone, or like, I can afford car insurance now, or I helped pay off part of my parents' debts, and that's powerful. We have a few stated aims, and one of them is to just help people in general. People can make money from, not financial advice, but people can make money from doing this. But to see that in action and to see people give real world examples of how their lives have been improved by these investment decisions, for those of you in the comments and for people in the community, in our Discord and Cryptonairz and Telegram and everywhere else, you'd be surprised at how much I do read. I try to read everything. It's not possible, but I try to read everything. And there's just so many times where people have said, the markets are red, but Hector is supporting my whole portfolio at this point, and it's a strange thing to read, to know that we built this, and I'd say proud is an understatement. I don't consider myself the top dog at all, and I'm not. I'm one member of a team, and the team produces the work. It's not just me. We've got developers, we have marketers, we have strategists, we've got economists and graphic designers, and all of this stuff. And I'm not going to stand on this pedestal and say, I created this. I've helped people build up this wealth. This is my achievement, because it's not. It's the community's achievement and the team's achievement. But I don't think that precludes me from feeling a certain amount of pride in that. Things weren't always easy for Hector. We had a bit of a shaky start because market conditions were a bit unpredictable. When a project launches, there's always the same FUD. It's always lock the liquidity pool. Where are the marketing funds? Are the devs doxed? And we went through all of that too. And I'm proud of the people that surround me who are in the team and the moderators and the community who pushed through that and helped turn Hector into what it is today. And we're not even close to the destination. We have so much room to grow, and we have so much left of this journey. But I think it's important to stop and take stock of where you are every so often. So yeah, I'd say proud is probably something of an understatement right now. It's I've gone full time, so I clearly believe.
Absolutely. One of the members that are in the chat right now wrote Danny Carney, and I know Danny Carney personally. He wrote, "Heck will pay off my house this year. I'm very thankful." When we made this call and we decided to jump in this as a community and said, this is a great project, let's go ahead and go forward. He got in early because we were all getting in right around the exact same time. And I know that when he says that, he means that's a literal statement right there. He's saying that this project is helping him pay off his house. And I think that's powerful. Not many people in the world can say that they're helping other people do that, whether directly or indirectly. So that's thanks to you and your project. And that's the type of impact you're having on your community. Another thing I'll ask you about that is, I asked you about how proud of the project you're building, and you said that eventually, right, people are going to be forking your project one day, because what we see is in this community is, and I talked about this with you before, just because somebody says something is a fork of Ohm introduced something to the community that has never been done before, and it was so good, it was so well done, that people had to copy it. They had to make it better. They had to make it their own, because it never exists yet. So when you're that innovative and you come up with something, it's great. And for people to make a fork of that or a copy of it, or to take that premise and make it their own, that's an homage. That's a compliment to that initial project. Yeah. And I think that that's important for people, because some people will say the opposite, and I disagree with that. But with that being said, I think you're correct. I think that what you're doing and the direction you're going with this, I do think that other people are they're gonna fork or copy what it is you're doing right now.
And you know what? It would be hypocritical of me to be against that. I'm not, by the way. If people want to fork Hector, fine. It's a free market. It's maybe some people would like me to take more of a definitive stance of there will only be one Hector. And, maybe there will only be one Hector, but there's also only going to be one Ohm. Our genesis is a product of what Ohm did. And it can't be overstated how much of a disruption to the financial network they created. I mean, APYs that high were just impossible before they did what they did. It just didn't happen, sustainably anyway. And we did fork them. We did. And it's, I think it is important to pay homage to the fact that they did that, and that, Hector probably wouldn't exist had they not done that. I think a good way to look at it, though, for those who feel that forking would be perhaps, I don't know, something to frown upon. I think it would be a good example to think about would be, did BMW fork what Henry Ford did?
Yep. Henry Ford. That's what we talked about last time, right?
Yeah, I mean, full disclosure, I completely just stole that from Dreko.
It's perfect.
So
it's
I'm a
perfect.
fraud.
I love it.
It resonated with me. It's completely true. I mean, did Elon Musk fork that? And look, I'm not here to compare Omen and Hector to Henry Ford and Elon Musk respectively. It's not like that. It's just an example. But markets develop, people take inspiration and ideas from each other, and that's how investors like you and me win. And to the community as well. A lot of people have made a lot of money from Hector, and a lot of people have made a lot of money from Ohm. They're both good. It's. But as our developer John said, one of our many developers, he put it so eloquently when he said that when projects fork, they have a common starting place, but the destination is determined by the team.
Yeah.
And I am really proud of the team. I think we're very competent. So I think we have a good destination ahead of us, and I hope one day that we're not considered a fork. I will never let people forget that we're a fork, because that's where we come from, and it's important to remember that. But I think the litmus test of success is when people start forking Hector, and I think if we can continue our development cycle, and we there's a bit of luck involved as well, obviously, but if we can continue our momentum and keep developing in the way that we are, I think it's entirely possible that we could see that, and that would be a really cool cyclical moment.
Yeah. Just to hear you say that, I mean, that kind of brings up a lot of my points, and it makes me focus on some of the things that I'm talking about here, because I think it's important to mention that type of mentality, that type of um, leadership is what's driving your project, and that's what's making you a little bit different. So I mentioned at the beginning that I'm bringing up a few things that are going to kind of culminate to some personal opinion, and again, I my opinion is worth nothing. It's pretty worthless. I actually failed a math class when I was in high school. I'm not very good at math. I've made bad calls in the past, so I'm not perfect. So anything that I say should not be taken as financial advice at all. But I think that I would be remiss to not provide my personal opinion on this project after following it from week 2, right? So you guys were 1 week out when we started communicating, and to where we are now. And I have to say that it's just my personal opinion that this is one of the best investments in all DAOs, in all of them put together. I truthfully believe that your project is different than all other projects because you're taking a different approach. You're making this almost like a business. It is a business, but your approach is a business-like mentality. You guys are like an NFL football team, and you guys are working on your social media, you're working on your marketing, you're working on your interaction with the public, you're making sure that you're hiring the right players, you're making sure that you're communicating with your community, you're making sure that everything you're doing is right and well thought out and strategized. And when you do that, you get yourself something very powerful, and you guys are doing it perfectly right now. You guys are kicking ass. And when that comes to the different things that you guys are doing that a lot of other people are not doing, you guys are interacting with people that are making your videos instead of ignoring it. If somebody makes a video, you guys are reaching out to them and saying thank you, and then promoting that, cross promotion. That's perfect. Nobody else is really doing that. At least not very many DAOs are doing that. I can tell you that. Um, when it comes to social media influencers and things of that nature, you're bringing attention to them because they're talking about you naturally. You've said it multiple times that you're not just reaching out to all these people and asking them to talk about you. It's happening naturally, and people are seeing those types of things. You're keeping your investors up to date with constant Medium posts. I was scrolling through here a few minutes ago through your Medium posts. You guys are posting Medium posts at least 2 to 3 times a week to update your community. And that has nothing to do with even updating your community inside your Discord. Your Discord is constantly communicating. You're communicating personally with people. Um, your developer team listens to the community and implements changes when needed. Um, we had a personal discussion, you and I. I had an issue. I won't disclose the exact issue, but I wanted you to know, hey, I had this issue, and that kind of steamrolled into helping try to figure out what the issue is and how to fix it. Who does that? I mean, when a developer team and a CEO sees there's a problem and the first thing they do is address it publicly, right? It's like a PR campaign. We're going to be transparent with our community. We're going to communicate with our investors. The direction you guys are going and the way that you're treating this is the new standard, in my opinion, for cryptocurrency projects. And what you guys are doing is going to set the mold going forward. And if you don't do it like this, where you're doing third-party KYC, where you're communicating with your investors, where you're transparent, if you're not doing all of those things, people are not going to invest in your project, because this is all built off trust. And if I can't trust you and I don't trust your development team, I want nothing to do with you.
That really is the crux of it. It comes to trust. First of all, thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate that. It's never something I take for granted. And I personally believe that when you're in the position that I am in, and when you're in the position that my team is in, it's okay. Let's look at it this way. So Hector is based upon compounding, right? That's a major focus of it. You get the compounding rewards. That's where the big money comes from if you're an investor. And I personally apply that to a lot of my life anyway. If you improve by 1% per day, that's 37.8 times better by the end of the year if you're compounding interest. And it's, it seems weirdly serendipitous and fitting that we would be, or that I would rather be involved in a project that revolves around compounding. But, these small interactions that I have with community members, I answer so many DMs every day, and this is not a brag about like, oh, I get 200,000 DMs a day. It's not that. It's more of a representation of the fact that I have time for every community member. Nobody is too big. Nobody's too small. No problem's too hard to solve. No criticism is too difficult to hear. No praise is too much. Like it's just, I'll listen and I'll find a solution if one's necessary. And I think the thing that sets apart, I'd never refer to myself or to the project as business leaders. I'm not somebody who self-aggrandizes. But I think something that sets apart business leaders and people who pave the way is that they do these just highly unscalable things obsessively. And the reason I say unscalable is that eventually Hector is likely to become a much bigger project than it is now, with hundreds of thousands potentially of holders. And, I can't answer hundreds of thousands of DMs. I'll do my best forever, to do that. And I'll hire people to help if necessary. And I'll make sure that every community member feels valued and trusted and respected, because that's what it's all about. But when you do these unscalable things obsessively, when you talk to community members and you sit down and you spend unscalable amounts of time helping people solve individual problems, whether it be bridging or bonding or staking or whatever else it might be, even just sitting down and explaining to an investor how the Phantom Chain works, which I have done a few times.
Right.
The word of mouth spreads, and that's not why I'm doing it, by the way. I think helping people is good. But the word of mouth spreads, and you get the compounding effect of, the more if I help one person now, they'll tell 3 people later. If I help 3 people today, that's 9, 10 people, that's 30. And, I really try to push this mindset with the team as well, and with the moderators. And I really think it does show that the moderators do behave in the same way, that is just such care and diligence and attention to every individual member of the community.
I agree. Shout out to the moderators. You guys are killing it.
Yeah, I can't thank all these moderators enough. They're the unsung heroes. I can't do what I do without them. So thank you so much to the mods. But, I think that's the secret. And, I'm a very humble person, a very open, transparent person. There are some things that I do that I'm not going to talk about that I believe contribute significantly to the success of the project, because I just can't. It's a competitive advantage, right? I've got to look out for the team and the project first as well. But these unscalable interactions with the community, I just enjoy them. I love them, and I think it's not something that you can do if you're doing it for a monetary gain. Let's say, if you're like, well, Prometheus said that if I speak to 10 people now, it's 30 by word of mouth later, and that will help the price impact. You can't do it for that reason. You're not going to be able to. You have to love the community. You have to love the project. You have to love the chain. You have to love solving these problems, and it's a hard thing to do. Like I'm busy, but like I'll always have time for the community, and I think that's one of the things that people really appreciate. And I'm not doing that because people appreciate it. I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do. And I think that really helps set us apart in some ways. And every team member has that individual thing that they do that's unscalable, that they do because it's the right thing to do. And I think that's where our major advantage comes from, part of it at least.
Yeah, no, I can't agree with you more, because I mean, look at what you're creating and the community you're creating, and I think that as a whole, we try to encourage that positive behavior, and there's no reason you don't need to be shitting on other projects to be successful, right? And I think that all of that combined, everything we've talked about during this conversation, kind of comes together, and then it makes it easy for you as a leader to support your own community because you've built something so good. And to bring that full circle, I wanted to give some examples of what you guys are doing that's also creating more people to be involved, and more instills more trust in your development team. For example, you guys are transparent with issues, and you take ownership of issues. So if you guys take responsibility for a mistake or something that's going wrong, you guys announce it publicly, right? And you say, hey, we have an issue, we're working on it. On top of that, you tell the community, hey, thanks for pointing this out. You guys found this issue. Thanks for bringing it to us. We're going to try to fix it, and we'll keep you updated. That's true transparency. And if you guys were, attempting to be disloyal or to hide something under the rug, people are going to notice that right away. And I think that, again, this goes back to the new, like, I think we went through a time in crypto where there were really good, solid projects that were working really hard for people's trust, because it was the wild west of crypto, and they needed to have that stuff in order to get investors involved. More recently, I think we went through this time and period of, the gold rush of crypto, right? The gold rush of our generation, even, where if you put your pan out there, you can make money. You just got to pick the right one. And I think what we're going to start to evolve into is, you have to start looking at developer teams that are doing the right things, that provide trust, transparency, honesty, commitment, and that are doing hard work in the background, innovation, development, socials. That's what people are going to start looking for. And you guys are part of the groups of different projects that are just going forward and getting that done. And I think it's going to be really, really powerful for all projects going forward. And hopefully you're creating a standard.
Yeah, it's it's a strange thing, isn't it? When you talk about creating standards and the crypto space is growing really fast. It's in a place where it's maturing every day, and it's lovely to see it. And we're still in rug pull central. It happens a lot. Anubis was obviously the big one this year, and I think trust is what you live and die on this chain, with this community, with this project. I have experience with the smart chain. I used to be an investor back there a while ago, and look, if you've been there, you know how toxic that place gets. And I think the main aim really is that Phantom can be better. Smart chain has its advantages. It's got an enormous community. There's huge amounts of liquidity, but I think the real aim is to make something better, because just as we may be setting precedent and creating the rule book, or the guidebook rather, for demonstrating a successful project, I really hope that is true, and I'm really appreciative of people who think that, by the way. But I hope the Phantom can take that one step further and start setting the precedent for how a chain should operate with its community, because the ingredients are there. We just have to have the flame that sets off the final push, and it starts expanding. But I would also highlight that crypto it's volatile, right? It's brand new. We're by no means stable. There's a trajectory.
Absolutely.
There's a known trajectory, but there's risk involved as well. And one of the things I really want to provide is a place where people can come and learn as well. It's one of the reasons I really appreciate Cryptonairz as well, because the educational stuff you guys do, it's just really good. I've learned things there myself, and I'm not an expert. I'm not. I'd love to stand here and posture and say I know everything about the blockchain, but I don't. But I think the advantage is I can assemble a team around me that does, and that's what's one of those things that you have to have. But it's a growth space. That's the best I can do on that one. It's a growth space, and you have to capitalize, and you have to be diligent, and you have to think forwards. And if you do that, then the glory becomes yours, I suppose you could say. But yeah, I would never want to stand here and say, I've made it. I'm the big shot, because I haven't, and I'm not. Hector's still in its infancy, and even if that day comes and we're sitting on huge amounts of subscribers or Twitter followers or whatever metric you'd like to use, I just don't. I don't think it'll change me that much. I mean, Hector has grown from several holders.
I agree with what you're saying.
I mean, we've gone from several holders to thousands, and it's really cool. It's such a good feeling to see that the project is growing and that people enjoy it and people are gaining value from it. But the core mission is exactly the same. Create a project that provides value, bring people to the Phantom chain, help the Phantom chain grow into what I would like to see it as in terms of it's fast, it's cheap, it's great, but also to provide a difference and to help inspire people to build wealth or to start their own project. Even if you'd like to, if I found out that through all the hardships of project development that myself and my team have gone through, we even inspired one person to go and try it themselves, that would make it worth it. It's about these unscalable things where it's a ripple, right? Maybe I can affect 3 people, but they can affect 9, and they can affect 27. They can affect whatever 27 times 3 is, and yeah, I think you just have to think in that way, I suppose. And I think I see that a lot with, for example, in the comment section, I see the channel Stop Struggling Now. Welcome. I'm communicating with Stop Struggling Now with regards to doing an ANA with those guys as well. And it's all about building these connections and helping this network expand and grow. And I'm really looking forward to doing that too. So I think it's just a fact of, or a matter of enjoying the journey and working as hard as you can. And then, I don't look at the charts too much as a matter of success. I think that the best thing to do is work really hard and let the charts take care of themselves,
Yeah, absolutely. And what you talked about initially there about, I'll kind of bring it full circle a little bit, because earlier, one of the things that we were talking about was Phantom. And I think Phantom is an amazing network, and we told people to, make comments. And if you're just getting here, because we have more people live watching now, if this is the first project, HectorDAO, the first project that ever brought you to Phantom, let us know. Type FTM into the comments, because for me personally, this was the first project that got me onto Phantom. And Phantom is a really good blockchain. It's fast, it's cheap, and it's scalable. And I think that this is going to be part of the future. I don't see it going anywhere. And what I want to highlight is that other people are seeing it too, not just you. Obviously, you are a Phantom Maxi, and that's great. But going forward, I think that you need to realize that there's other oh man, hold on, it's blowing up like FTM, 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 FTM. This is going to be a big deal, and project like yours are bringing natural like natural progression to that blockchain. And one of the other companies that I would like to highlight is that it's Strong is talking about Phantom. Strong is one of our partners that we've joined up with since several months ago. Since April, we've talked with Strong, and they're talking about having strong nodes that support the Phantom network, and that's a big deal. That's a really big deal coming up. So if that's something that you want to participate in, it's another project. I'm not here to shill another project or anything like that, but Strong, the community for Strong Block is a very strong community, and no pun intended, and they are going to work with Phantom because they see the value in this new blockchain, or this up and coming blockchain. So with that being said, like, I think you're on the right track. I think Phantom is part of the future. I think it's going to get bigger, and project like yours are going to bring more and more attention to that.
Yeah, I mean, I've obviously heard of Strong. I mean, I feel like we have had one-to-one conversations about Strong to some degree
Yep.
as well. By the way, if you're in the stream and you're watching, let's do a little experiment. Let's do an experiment in what I was talking about, these unscalable actions. Everybody in the chat, all of you, share the link to this YouTube stream. Share it on Twitter, Instagram, wherever, whatever it is that you use. Share it and watch that number, and you will see exactly what I mean by these unscalable things. And look, be honest, you got to do it. You can't just let everyone else do it. But if you guys do it and you watch that number fly up, there's your demonstration, by the way. So let everybody do that right now, and we'll watch that number fly up, and we talk about that and see how cool it is to see it. But yeah, going back to Strong, yeah, I mean, it's a good project. It's an interesting one. The amount of innovation is great, and it's, look, I'm
I
biased.
assume
I
that
like
you've looked
Phantom.
more into it since we talked about it.
I have, yeah, absolutely, I have. Big fan, by the way. Not financial advice, but I'm a big fan. I think their level of diligence is quite frankly inspiring. They're just so research intensive, and you know, let's say this then. If there's anyone who is in the Strong team or knows the Strong team who's in the chat, get in touch with me. I would love to talk to the Strong team. I really would. I think it would just be a really nice conversation to have, and who knows? I'm not going to make guarantees here, but maybe Strong and Hector could become friends.
Absolutely.
But yes, I'm a big fan, really, really big fan. Their NFT stuff as well, on that topic, is just utility NFTs. We're finally at this level where NFTs have actual value, and it's nice to see the innovation, and I really appreciate what they're doing. But to hear that they're looking into the Phantom chain as well, it's there's one of the Solana moment indicators, right? When you get projects who are thinking, well, this Phantom chain is blowing up. It's fast. It's secure. Whatever. I'm not the spokesperson for Phantom, so I'm not going to do the whole Phantom advert. But it's inspiring to see it. So if we can emulate the successes of Strong, and we can, the strong family, you'll have seen them on Twitter and Discord and wherever else. Those guys, the community loves the project, and I really respect that. So, if we could start to emulate that and start to have a community that's that strong, I would be very proud as well. If you pardon the pun again.
Exactly. And here's the thing. The reason why, personally, and I think several people in our Discord and members and people that we communicate with are big on Strong, is because of the things that I'm talking to you about. They are transparent. They've made mistakes. It's not a secret. If you haven't been involved in the community as long as we have, but there are mistakes, and they owned up to them. And once they owned up to those mistakes, they've progressed past that. And then it wasn't, it was a bump in the road. And their project, obviously the one difference with them is the whole doxing portion of it. They're treating it more like like a business, in the sense of having everybody listed on their website. But we've discussed that in the past as well, that you're considering eventually doxing members and things like that. And you took that first step with KYC, third party, which is a huge step. I had that listed up here a while ago, but who knows if I can even find it to put it up. But with that being said, I think that's a huge part of gaining not only trust, but also gaining a little bit of that, again, that fuzzy feeling of, yeah, this project's going to take a little bit more to take my money, and that it makes people feel a little bit more comfortable, right? So I think that's a great step in the right direction. And then today in your AMA, congratulations, by the way, another cheers. You announced that you were going to be going full time, 9 to 5. This is your main objective. This is your job. This is what you're going to be doing going forward, and that you're going full time into Heck. Congratulations, sir. That's a great accomplishment, and that's a great announcement.
Yeah, it was my favorite announcement that I've ever given to the Heck community. It's you grow up like I'm in my 20s, around roundabouts that age, and I grew up, and I remember being in nursery, being very, very young, 6, 7 years old, maybe, or primary school, whatever age that is. I was like 6, 7, and one of my teachers, really forward-thinking teacher, said, "You are probably going to do a job that doesn't exist yet." And I didn't understand at the time because I was young, but it stuck with me, and I thought about it more and more over time. And you know what? I am. I am now doing a job that did not exist when that conversation took place. And I it's a strange thing. It is, to be able to work full time in crypto and to be able to support myself from a salary of a job where I'm trading magic internet coins. I mean, these are strange times, but it's inspiring. I can only really thank the community and our back end and front end developers and the strategists and marketing team, because I followed suit from the developers. Right, they work full time on this. They work hard on this, and when the project started, that was the priority. It was, we paid the people writing the code, right, because they are the most important part. Without them, the whole thing fails. And so they are full time developers for us, and to be able to have seen the project launch, and then in it would be 24 days, I think, to the point that I was then put in a position where I said, okay, here we go, it's all in. I quit my job and I joined Hector full time. And it's, gratitude is a hard thing to express, I think. I can sit here and say loads of words in the most poetic way possible, and maybe I can rouse some tears from the audience, but I get to do my dream job. I wake up every day and I can't wait to start working. Maybe it's a honeymoon phase, maybe that wears off at some point, but right now I'm in a position where I get to do what I love doing. I get to talk to the community all the time. I don't have to worry about I don't call this my side project anymore. It's not. This is my career. And it was really nice to be able to announce that to the community in a very direct way, and to use that to demonstrate how Hector is here to stay. This is a long-term project, and this is going to create careers for a lot of people. I'm the first, but I'm not going to be the last of the team. Well, I'm the first of the strategy team, as we call it. We have a development team, a strategy team, but I'm not the first of the team members. The developers obviously were first, but I suspect I won't be the last. This is not going to be the last time I would imagine, hear someone from the team say, "I'm going full time. I'm all in." And to see the community's response, where to be congratulated in a very personal way, on a very personal life event, by hundreds of people, even potentially thousands of people by the time the news gets out fully. It humbles you, and that's something I want to hold on to. As I said before, no investor is too big, no investor is too small. It's I'm here to serve the project, and I'm glad that I get to give much more of my time to it now, because now I'm here, fully. I'm all in. I'm here to stay. So yeah, it's just inspiring. It's very humbling.
Yeah, I think you're going to be dangerous when you're doing this full time, because I already assumed that you could potentially be doing it full time, and the fact that you weren't shows volumes of how much hard work and dedication you've done to this project. And what I'm showing on the screen while you're talking and everything, if you type in HectorDAO and start scrolling through just the photos that come up when you type that in, your marketing team is doing so well that you are all over the place. If you click images or web or anything, HectorDAO is everywhere because you guys are all over the place, just constantly hitting it, and you're grinding as a team. And everybody sees that, and you're treating this the way that it should be treated, and you're getting the rewards of that hard work. And I think it's very important for people to realize that. Um, and I gotta say, me personally, and I think this, and I speak for a lot of people, you're gonna change a lot of people's lives with your project. Uh, so your teacher was very, very knowledgeable, and very wise to say that you were going to do something. You've changed several people's lives in the crypto world, and you're going to continue to do that. And I think that this project that you're working on, and that is going on right now, like I said, is going to be a standard. You are creating a standard of a level where people need to get to earn respect and acknowledgement from the community to put into these type of projects. I respect the hell out of you. I respect the hell out of your team. And I sincerely believe that all other Ohm forks are going to wish they did what you did because of how successful you guys are going to be. You and your team's work ethic, your innovation, your core values, which is very important, and your overall strategy is just going to dominate all other forks. And I think people are going to look at you guys and say, wow, they did it right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what to say. Yeah, I appreciate the kind words, and I never take any of it for granted. It's a surreal feeling, and I do think there's an adjustment period. I mean, no doubt you will have found this as well. When you move slightly more into the public eye. I know I'm anonymous. I get that. So I can't speak to this in volumes, but when you start to have a lot of people talking to you, and you have conversations with loads and loads of people, a lot of them very personal conversations. People have told me about their personal situations and how we've managed to help, and it's crazy, man. It's it's something that you have expectations about how it may feel, and then you get there and it's not that. It's so different, better in most ways, really. But I would be it would mean a huge amount to me if our actions as a team, and maybe even my actions as an individual, would help to shape what other people do and help them benefit and build their projects, or help them build personal wealth and do whatever it is that they want to do with that. Gain freedom really is the main thing. If we reach a stage where we're having conversations regularly, and it happens at least once a day now, so we're getting there. But if we're having conversations regularly with community members about them thanking us, and look, for anyone listening, this is not this is not me posturing about how great Hector is. I'm not here to advertise Hector. I'm here to talk about it. Go and research it yourself. Don't invest just because of me. Go and invest because of the project if you like it. But to be able to do that for people and help them pay off debts, whatever it is that they're doing, gain financial freedom, it's it closely aligns with what I might consider to be part of my life's purpose. I know that's a really profound thing to say, and that maybe people think, oh, this is a bit cringe, but like it is. It's something I've always wanted since I was very, very young. And there's going to be good times, there's going to be bad times. The markets are in a dip right now, obviously, but I feel very, very confident and secure in the fact that I'm going to be here for a very long time working on this project, and the connections I've already made they're they just would have been impossible before. They were unthinkable. Major players across many different chains in many different walks of life, and that's what it's really about. And I aim to leverage all of these things, and I see a lot of comments in the YouTube comment section right now about setting up the meeting between Strong and Heck, and I'm seeing the David Moss being thrown around a lot as a person who could potentially be there. Look, if it doesn't happen, that's also fine. If it does happen, incredible.
We'll do our
He
best.
doesn't get much
We'll
bigger
do our
than that.
best.
That guy's the man.
Yeah, we've done interviews with him in the past. It's in our video channel. You can find that, and he's a great person. He's a very busy CEO working with a large project. But we will reach out to them. We will do our best to try to set that up, and hopefully we can do that. Like that would be a really good thing to do. Is I just want to be on a fly on the wall. I'm not a developer. I just talk about projects. You know what I mean? I just try to help people invest into good projects. So just for me to be a fly on the wall to see what happens there is going to be crazy. But we're going to do everything we can. We'll reach out to them, and I noticed some people that are actually in your Discord that have his ear. So I'll make sure we reach out to them.
Yeah, I mean, this is what it's about, though. This is a perfect example of the impossible to scale things. We're talking to a room of 700 people roughly, and that's a lot of people. It is. But each of these individual people who are listening have something to offer, and I think when projects and developers leverage that, that's where you win. And when you make people feel valued, I mentioned Stop Struggling Now was in the comment section earlier, and if you're still listening, they're another AMA partner that I'm going to be speaking with fairly soon too, and it's just these small interactions, they really build up over time, and I suppose I'm fairly lucky in that I just love doing that anyway by default, but it also happens to be really beneficial to projects when you do that. And I mean, just to throw it back to you guys as well, I see it in Cryptonairz. The interaction in your community is just phenomenal. It's inspiring, the amount of people that go and hang out and send memes and have fun with each other, but also offer real maybe financial advice is not the right phrase to use, but they offer real information and diligence reports and stuff to each other, and it's just a good time. That's how people thrive. Nobody makes it on their own. I didn't get here on my own, and the path that hopefully that was trajectory that myself and the team take. If and when we can say we quote unquote made it, which I don't think that's a destination. I think that's a journey, but we won't have done it on our own. The community will be standing at the finish line cheering with us, and you will be there as well. And all of the people that send memes will be there, and the developers will be there, and it's just a good thing. It's a nice feeling to be on the right side of cryptocurrency, because there's so much bad stuff that happens. Like, there was a comment just there that said that they got rugged by Snowbank. I'm assuming you're talking about Snowdog, and this person moved funds over to help recoup their losses. And
yep.
It really does break my heart when people get rugged. It's happened to me. Like I said, I used to be an investor predominantly on the smart chain, and look, my smart chain family in the comments section, you can tell me in the comments, how toxic is that place? How many rugs are there? I mean, damn, you lose money there if you're not careful. But it's nice to hear comments like that where people have put their trust in myself and the team and the developers and the project. It's inspiring to me, and we hope to do all of you proud.
I gotta say, you said something that might catch on: the right side of crypto. The right side of crypto. I mean, that's pretty powerful. I'm not going to stay up all night and make everybody listen to us and belabor our content and the points that we want to hit. I just wanted people to understand how powerful this movement is, and how strong this project is, and how well led it is by Prometheus. I don't think I can say anything more about how great you guys are doing and the direction you guys are going in. All I will say is that do your research. Everybody out there that's a potential investor, if you're watching this video, whether it's today, tomorrow, 6 months, or 6 years from now, do your research. Look at this project. We can provide a lot of those links in the description. Talk to your friends. Google the project, look it up, go to the Medium articles, figure it out. Do your own research. It's very important that you always do your own research. But with that being said, I think that they speak for themselves, and this project speaks volumes as a standard across all projects going forward. And people need to start taking note on how to do this right and be on the right side of crypto. And with that being said, I'll leave you the floor, sir. Any parting messages, any comments, or any alpha you have, the floor is yours.
I should have prepared a speech. Damn. Look, if only I knew. If only I knew that this AMA was coming for a week before that I announced it to everybody. I could say so many things about how great Hector is and how much I love my team and how much I love the community and how fast we develop things. And I have done that in AMAs previous and in our internal AMAs, our weekly discussions. I do, and it's I could repeat that here, all of it. But I think that if you take anything from this, you should take the fact that I would endorse speaking to community members, Hectorians as we call them. Go to Discord, ask them, why should I invest in this project? I won't say a word. I'll stay out of it. If you want, I will even ask the moderators to stay out of it and just let the community members speak. And I'm really lucky that I don't have to worry about what any of those answers will be. I think they would be overwhelmingly positive. And so as much as I can be biased and I can say, we've got great bond discounts, we've got lending and borrowing protocol coming and whatever, you go and read the roadmap, but I feel so fortunate that I get to do this. Like, this is my career now, and I feel so fortunate that we have a strong enough project and team and vision that our best marketing is just the fact that we get to talk to the community every day. I'm so thankful for what we have, and I don't take it for granted. I'm aware that there's risk associated. I'm aware. Tomorrow it could all go to zero, as they say. I think that's very unlikely to happen, but crypto's a strange space. What I can guarantee, though, the promise I can make, is that I'll be here for a very long time working on this project. If it's viable, if the community support is there, if we continue to innovate and develop. And look, we have the funds. We do. We've got the funds to take this a long, long way. So I would say it's, I've said this so many times, but I think the one message I'd like to give to people, if you take anything away, is that it shouldn't be a matter of price. It should be a matter of, do you trust me? Do you trust the team? Do you trust the roadmap? And do you think we can deliver? I think if you're a long-time investor and you do your own research and you can get a definitive answer to those questions, that's exactly what I'd like to see. That's the type of investor I'd like to see. And I'm not going to tell you what the answer is. I'd like everybody to go and find out for themselves, but I know what my answer is. So yeah, thank you so much to the community. Thanks to everybody who has sat and listens to this. And thank you to everyone who's helping with the strong block communications. I'm getting a lot of messages from people about that currently. So if you want to drop some alpha on that, I guess we're trying to get in touch with Strong. So if you're alpha, I mean, the community created the alpha. So this is your guys' announcement. You own this one. This is not from me. But thanks so much, man, for having me. I really appreciate all of our conversations, and this one won't be the last. It's not the first either. So here's to a stronger partnership and relationship between our projects and communities. And thanks to all the community members for the trust they place in us. You guys allow me to do what I love doing, and I can't thank you all enough. There's your pre-prepared speech that I definitely didn't write beforehand.
Well, we just got that's a strong message for those of you who know who that is. Let's just say that they're in charge of a large Discord channel that may involve Strong. So that's a pretty big statement right there. But with that being said, I think our relationship is growing. We love talking to you. I know this is not our last conversation. Thank you for being here. I can't wait for our next conversation and just doing more updates and following around with this project. And just thank you for everything, man. We appreciate you, and we're excited to see what's coming up in the future. I mean, every week, every other week, you guys are coming up with innovation, and yeah, it's this is a crazy ride.
Yeah, it's the honor of my lifetime so far, as I always say to my friends in the strategy team. It's, if we take a step back, it's crazy. It's crazy.
This is crazy. No, it's all crazy.
We're becoming look, I never want to sound arrogant ever. I would never want that. I'm a humble guy, but we're becoming business leaders in this space, and we're starting to set precedents, and we're starting to change things in the way that we want to change them for a more positive space for everyone.
The way it should be, right? The positive side of crypto.
The right side of crypto. That's exactly it. And it's my honor to interact with the community and to be the part of the team in the way that I am. And I will continue to work as hard as I can to do the community proud. And I look forward to every second of it. I really do.
Well, that's awesome. We appreciate you as always. I can't wait to talk to you again. Like and subscribe for more content. Join the Cryptonairz if you guys want to look for more information and get into early projects like this. And if you guys have questions or you're interested in the HectorDAO community or the HectorDAO project, join the HectorDAO Discord. Everybody be safe, be kind to each other, and have a wonderful weekend. And we'll be seeing you soon. Thank you very much, Prometheus. Thank you for coming.
My pleasure. Take care, everyone.
Have a good night.